Welcome back to Real Reactions. I'm Dave, where we go over the craziest, most jaw-dropping, mind-bending reels available on the internet today. Let's get into it.
Project Cirrus, on the afternoon of October 13th, 1947, B-17 aircraft penetrated a hurricane 450 miles east of Jacksonville and dumped 180 pounds of crushed dry ice into the storm, just to see what would happen. This was the first attempt to modify a tropical cyclone by seeding it with freezing nuclei. Vincent Schaefer of General Electric Laboratories discovered that by introducing dry ice into an environment with supercooled water, he could induce the water to freeze into ice. He realized that this could be done in the free atmosphere and could spur microphysical reactions that would alter the clouds and precipitation. GE Labs reached an agreement with the Naval Research Laboratory and Army Signal Corps, dubbed Project Cirrus, to carry out experiments where the Air Force aircraft would seed clouds and fog with dry ice to see what changes would occur. On October 12th, a hurricane designated King by the Air Force Hurricane Office moved northeastwards over Florida. The next day, the storm moved off the coast and continued out to sea. This seemed an ideal case for Project Cirrus, as the hurricane was no longer interacting with land and would not affect anyone after the experiment. That afternoon, two B-17s and a B-29 left Mobile, Alabama and flew eastward to intercept the hurricane. The first bomber flew at cloud top level and did the seeding. Large chunks of ice were fed into a crusher on the plane and dumped from the belly into the clouds below. The second B-17 followed a half a mile behind and 3,000 feet above to document the cloud changes. The trailing B-26 was the control aircraft, carried Schaefer to monitor the changes and direct the other two planes. To their astonishment, the hurricane had made a 135-degree left turn and was now moving due west. On top of that, it was strengthening. By the afternoon of the 15th, Hurricane King struck Savannah, Georgia. One person died in the storm surge, and $2 million in damage was done to Georgia and South Carolina. The public was outraged that the scientists had caused the storm to swerve into Georgia, and threats of lawsuits were thrown out. GE's case was not helped when the head of its laboratories, Dr. Irving Langmuir, issued a statement that he was 99% sure the storm had changed course due to the seeding.
99% sure is pretty darn sure. You know, it really isn't a huge stretch for me. I've said this before, that they can push clouds around, push storms around. I really don't see why that's so hard to believe. I mean, the government manipulates just about everything that they can. Why would they not manipulate the weather? Why is that? I don't see that as being a crazy thing to think or assume.
Would you like to know the real reason Appalachia is haunted and scary?
There is a chance that the stories that us Appalachian people tell you about the spooky stuff that goes on in our woods, you know, the Mothman, the cryptids, the not deer, the feral people, that we're all just making it up so that you Californians don't pack up your whole family and move here and turn a single-story ranch home into $1 million investment and ruin what's left of our natural beauty.
Probably because everybody has their whole family buried in their backyard.
You know, we could just be telling stories.
Everybody has a family cemetery in their backyard here.
But maybe we're not.
My family cemetery is actually across from my parents' house.
And here's the thing we're not going to tell you. So, you want to take the risk? I don't think you do.
Locals share eerie experiences, from sightings of not deer that aren't quite right, to mimicked voices calling from the woods. One commenter writes, "I live in Appalachia and you're not making it up. I felt eyes on me in the earth."
Okay, I think that's enough. Pretty funny. That's a pretty funny video. I don't really think it's truly alluding to anything, but it is pretty funny.
Have you heard of the dentist of the sea fish? That's that fish right there. That's a nickname for it. It's a Uranium uritis fish. That's the Latin name for it. But it goes around for free and cleans all the fish's teeth for them. So here you notice it goes in the mouth. The fish are used to it. You should see it when it goes into the great white shark's mouth, though. It's quite scary and terrifying. But you know what? That's how they get their nourishment, is from the plaque that builds up on fish's teeth. So it's quite amazing. It's quite a balancer. You know what they say, nature is the great balancer, which I just think is incredible. And so I am thinking about maybe starting a dentist office where we have a bunch of these fish that are in an aquarium, and you dunk your head in it and open your mouth and you let these fish do the cleaning. I think it would be cheaper because you wouldn't have to pay them, but I don't know if I need a dentist license to do that. So are there dentists out there that could comment and tell me, would I need a license to do this idea? I think it's a great idea.
I did not know that. If that's true, that's pretty interesting. I think you just got to call that a spa. Call it a spa, and you're good.
What if I told you people born in cities are genetically engineered to be superior to those born in rural areas? Urban areas are like accelerated breeding grounds, creating individuals with stronger genetics and heightened neurological functionality. People born in cities are subjected to a constant bombardment of fast-paced stimuli, from crowded streets to endless social interactions. And this environmental pressure is believed to speed up evolution in ways rural areas simply cannot match. Over generations, urban populations have developed traits that make them more attractive, more socially adept, and even psychologically advanced. Their genetics are subtly honed by the hyper-competitive atmosphere of cities, where survival depends on quick thinking, adaptability, and charisma. City people are just built different. It's just the cold, hard truth, man. What if I told you?
You know, I think that's just an example of people adapting to their surroundings, right? If you take a guy from somewhere in Podunk, Kentucky, nothing against people in Kentucky, but just some rural area, and throw him into the city, that's going to be a shock for him. If you take somebody from the city and throw them into some podunk area, some rural area, that's going to be a shock for them. But I will say that there is a lot going on in cities. And when you're navigating a city, there is something more going on. I think it maybe just makes you a little more alert.
Kim Kardashian is facing backlash for this outfit that she wore over the weekend. First of all, that cross she's wearing is famously known for being worn by Princess Diana. Second of all, the cross is a very sacred symbol, so pairing it with an outfit like this, many people thought it was disrespectful. Kim bought this in 2023 for almost $200,000, and this is the first time that she's seen wearing it. Choices that she's been making in fashion has been stirring up a lot of controversy. I mean, she started the year off by becoming an official brand ambassador for Balenciaga. Recently, for Halloween, she went all out as a reptilian, and now she wears the Princess Diana cross with this outfit. I mean, it starts to make you think a little bit. Kim Kardashian is facing...
She's quite the phenomena. I don't know why anybody pays attention to her. I never have, never watched her TV shows, really don't care at all. To me, she is like, let's say, a famous pop culture TikToker who's famous for being attractive and maybe doing crazy things out in public. Something like that. But she somehow made it on a completely different scale. No idea why. Maybe she's a sorceress.
After watching this, you can't tell me parallel universes don't exist. Check this out.
Okay, I'm confused about this backyard here. Like, this is supposed to be my backyard, right?
Okay.
And then when I go downstairs, I know it's not going to be the same.
Yo, watch this.
I'm literally confused.
Can anyone explain that?
I swear.
Stay weird, y'all.
Yeah, maybe it's a completely different backyard. Or maybe your backyard was a filthy mess, you realized it, and you finally picked it up. And if you did, good on you. Because that was a real shithole.
You have been told that we are the most advanced civilization to ever walk this world, and that all these pyramids, monuments, and temples were just made by primitive people, worshipping primitive gods. But I believe the case can be made quite easily, showing a much different picture. And in fact, we are the primitive ones, living on the ruins of a post-apocalyptic time. And we built and inherited right on top of this massive energy grid, this massive computer of the old world. Just look at these ancient buildings and structures, what's left of them. The ruins laid out exactly like circuitry. Everything in the old world was built with such precision and purpose, just like a motherboard, harnessing and amplifying and distributing the free energy all around us. Parts of that can still be found hidden in plain sight. Much like the star forts, these buildings were technology. And that technology was everywhere. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
You know, that video gives me a thought that, so a motherboard is made for energy to transfer on and certain information and signals to get from one place to the other, right? And then when he compared it to what we have set up from above, the look down from above, it makes me think that we're the energy and signal, that we are supposed to go to places, like some of those look like temples, go in there, do something, pray, sing, chant, resonate our energy, and then we go out and go do other things elsewhere on this earth. And in this case, we would call a motherboard. Interesting concept. I like it.
All right, this is the blueprint on how to become superhuman. You don't need to buy anything, and you don't need anything outside of yourself. You just need to understand that you are a freaking computer. Please stick with me on this. Your bones and muscles are the structural hardware. Your nervous system is the wiring that connects every piece of the computer. You have your organs, like the heart is the power supply. Your lungs are the cooling system. Here's where your superpower is going to be unlocked. You have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. That is also how a computer functions. There is a hierarchy for how a computer's memory works. High capacity but extremely accessible at the top, huge capacity but slow at the bottom. Conscious, subconscious. The RAM and the CPU are like the conscious mind. It is the short-term memory. Because of the tiny capacity, it can get overloaded easily. When you have too many tabs up on your computer, too many apps running on your phone, too much cached memory that is stored up, it all causes the computer to become buggy, slow. We've all experienced this. You have experienced it when you overload your systems and your devices don't work well. Isn't it interesting that the human computer does the same thing with our conscious mind? Have you ever experienced the overheating that a computer experiences when too much is going on? You're too overloaded? That's interesting. Let's dive into the computer's subconscious mind. This is like the hard drive where all of the programming is stored. This is the operating system that runs the entire system. Your phone came with programming already on it. You were born into programming, fear-based programming. There are buggy and malicious apps that will impact the operation of the overall system. It's all good because you can always upgrade your operating system as a new one becomes available, but only if it has space. Have any of you ever had to go through your phone, delete all the programs and everything to create space for a download to come in? If you do not change your operating system, if you don't debug apps that you're running, no changes will ever occur. A computer cannot change. It is what it is according to its programming. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that people, when they talk about spirituality, a word they will often use is, I received a download from God, a download from the universe. It's a download. Why is that? It's because you're a computer. But if you do not have space, you cannot receive downloads. If your short-term memory and CPU is overloaded, you've got too much going on. The upgrade is going to take some time. Now that you understand this from that perspective, why do you think meditation increases your IQ, relieves stress, and promotes a higher learning levels? Why do you think it is that people can achieve alpha theta brainwave states? They are in a creative flow and things start flowing through them. As meditation, breath work, hypnosis, exercising, freaking runner's high, creative process, journaling, shadow work, the list goes on and on. Why are they so beneficial? Because you're clearing space so that downloads can come in. Have you ever noticed the synchronicity of downloads that people receive? People across the world receiving the same or similar downloads. When iPhone upgrades their OS, that download is available to everyone. But do you have space? Do you have the capacity to receive it? Or is your capacity being spent on other things? If you want to level up, you just have to learn how to clear space. You clear space, not only will you receive downloads, but you learn to become the programmer of your computer. All of these things are programming. You were born into fear-based programming. You take an honest look at the vast majority of your decisions or your actions, I promise you fear is at the core. Get rid of it. It doesn't serve you. Did you know that fear comes from the amygdala, which hijacks your brain, completely takes it over? Fear served our ancestors for many reasons, which is why you're born with it into your operating system. By clearing space, you can learn to become the programmer and you can replace that fear with love. Now, I'm not talking romantic love. I'm talking the vibration of love. Meaning you are so full of unconditional love for yourself first that you don't need anything and anyone. Because when you need something, you will use it to get what you want. Whether you recognize this or you don't, everybody does it. Because of the fear they use to get what they need. When love is at the core of your computer, you don't need to use anyone or anything because you have everything you need. You are whole, you are complete. When that's your baseline operating system, you have the power to do whatever you want with your life because you recognize you have everything you need. This is the journey I've been on over the past 2 years, and I can't even begin to explain the changes that have come in, the downloads that I've received, the upgrades my computer has received. You don't force change to happen, you just clear space. All right, this is the blueprint on how to...
I think there's a lot of validity to what he's saying. I've actually spent some time meditating myself, and it is a big difference. If you can actually get into a state of meditation, I listened to the Robert Monroe meditations that are available online, and I've always felt much better and much clearer after I meditated. I would highly recommend you try it. I know it seems like a lot of like woo-woo, but it's real. It's real.
He was camping alone when he hears this. An experienced camper named Daniel was camping in the woods one day. He ventured down the woodland trail deep into the woods and eventually chose a spot to set up camp. He settles and starts to prepare a meal when this happens.
We're going to be out Friday night, but I'm going away Saturday, so I've got a bit of a drive as well, so I didn't want to be tired, and it's going to throw it down Friday night as well, and rain camping is really good. Is that a badger? Hello? I hope I got that on camera. I really hope I did. Because if I didn't, and I'm showing this, people won't believe that. Just, my heart's beating a bit quicker there. I'll just give you a full circle round of what I'm looking at. Now, apart from them in the distance playing whatever they're doing, whatever sport they're doing, football or something, I've just heard like someone walked literally past me. And I mean literally walked past me.
Just like with the girl camping alone, Daniel hears footsteps approaching closely, but isn't able to see anyone around. Nonetheless, he decides to stay and even starts sleeping in his sleeping bag at night. But in the dark, things are a lot more terrifying.
I'm going to be honest. I can't stay here now. I want to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp in the comments.
Feeling too unsettled, Daniel decides to leave this campsite without hesitation, as he is not sure what may be lurking nearby, waiting for him to fall asleep. He was camping alone when he hears this. An experienced camper named Daniel was camping in the woods one day. He ventured down the woodland trail deep into the woods.
It's an interesting video. Extremely easy to fake, but if he's not faking it, I mean, it definitely sounded like a person was walking around. Kind of weird.
Did you know that it can be proven that a gyroscope does not will?
Over the years, I noticed a huge increase in interest in the Anunnaki. which is amazing. If you Google Anunnaki, you're going to see all of these different gods and etchings and prints, and they're not all Anunnaki. They're not all Sumerian. Many of the common depictions are Assyrian, many of them are Babylonian, many of them are not Anunnaki, and many of them are different beings altogether. So then you look at some of those images and you see the common ones that are depicted that sometimes have an eagle's face or have wings and they're holding the pine cone and maybe the handbag. Those are not Anunnaki. Those are Apkallu. Very important distinction. And the Apkallu, those are the ones that are referenced as the sages. They're not just another set of deities. They're described as being semi-biological and originating from the Pleiadian star system. Over the years, I noticed a huge increase in interest in the Anunnaki, which is amazing.
Okay, maybe this is something worth digging into a little further. The Pleiadians? Have you heard of them?
These World's Fairs, whether you think they're temporary or otherwise, they were definitely the true golden age of America. And though all these beautiful World's Fairs have faded into a distant memory of America's past, it seems that perhaps President-elect Donald Trump has a plan to not only bring America back to the golden age, but to bring these back as well. And this is certainly not an endorsement for or against President Trump. On this channel, you will rarely ever hear me mention politics or hear my views on them. I would just love to see a true American golden age built in our lifetime. Take a look at the video and let me know what you think.
3 years from now, the United States will celebrate the biggest and most important milestone in our country's history. 250 years of American independence. What a great country. We have to keep it that way. But that's why, as a nation, we should be preparing for a most spectacular birthday party. We want to make it the best of all time. Here is my plan to give America's founding in 1776 the incredible anniversary it truly deserves. On day one, I will convene a White House task force called Salute to America 250. It will be responsible for coordinating with state and local governments to ensure not just one day of celebration, but an entire year of festivities across the nation, starting on Memorial Day 2025 and continuing through July 4th, 2026. Second, I will work with all 50 governors, Republican and Democrat alike, to create the Great American State Fair, a unique one-year exhibition featuring pavilions from all 50 states. It'll be something. The Great American State Fair will showcase the glory of every state in the Union, promote pride in our history, and put forth innovative visions for America's future. My hope is that the amazing people of Iowa will work with my administration to open up the legendary Iowa State Fairgrounds to host the Great American State Fair and welcome millions and millions of visitors from around the world to the heartland of America for this special one-time festival. Together we will build it and they will come. Third, alongside the Great American State Fair, we will host major sporting contests for high school athletes. These are great athletes, wonderful athletes from fantastic high schools all around the country. These Patriot Games will allow young Americans from every state to show off the best of American skills, sportsmanship, and competitive spirit. Fourth, I will sign an executive order to bring back our National Garden of American Heroes, which we want to build very badly. Commission artists for the first 100 statues to populate this new statuary park honoring the greatest Americans of all time. Fifth, as president, I will invite the leaders and citizens of nations around the world to visit the United States in honor of our 250th anniversary. It's going to be great. America's tourist industry should get ready because we're going to have a lot of people coming. It will be a record year. And finally, and most importantly, I will ask America's great religious communities to pray for our nation and our people as we prepare for this momentous occasion. From the very beginning, America has been a country sustained and strengthened by prayer and by our communities of faith. As we chart a course toward the next 250 years, let us come together and rededicate ourselves as one nation under God. Thank you.
Did this guy just sneak in a Trump ad into his TikTok? I don't know, but I think it would be cool for America to do something like that, to have almost like another World Fair. Why not? You know, they were talked about so highly in their time. I think it would be cool to experience something like that today. Not only does he play the piano, but he sings too. I mean, that wasn't too terrible. I thought that was interesting. All right, well, that's all we have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, put those down in the comment section. Do me a huge favor and hit a like on the video so we can grow the channel. And make sure you subscribe so you can catch us in the next one. See you later.